Today at the House of Hacks, we compare some efficiency parameters of the shop vac's original configuration and its new one. In this earlier episode, I presented some problems I had using my shop vac, some goals I wanted to meet by reconfiguring how I use it, and how I actually made some of those changes. In this episode, I want to show some of the before and after measurements to see what actually changed. To recap, my goals were to have minimal daily setup, be convenient to use, be much quieter, and all this at minimal cost. I attempted to do this by converting it to a DIY central vac system. Today, I'm going to show how well I accomplished my goals. I'll show what it takes to use the new configuration and compare some specifications between the old and new systems, the loudness, the vacuum pressure, and the airflow. Overall, I'm really pleased with the ease of operation. I typically just leave everything plugged in, set up, and ready to go. All I need to do is grab the hose and press the power button. Of course, if I'm working on a piece of equipment, I do have to do some setup, but that is really minimal. I just move the hose to the closest outlet and connect to the equipment. One of the goals was noise reduction. I use a freely available decibel app on my tablet to measure the noise levels. Admittedly, this is an uncalibrated device and won't give exact results, but it does give a good idea as to the relative differences. In the shop, the vacuum runs around 85 decibels. And when it's outside the shop on the other side of the wall, it runs about 70 decibels. And when it's inside the box I made for it, it drops down to about 62, 63 decibels. Overall, a reduction of over 20 decibels. Quite a bit. For comparison purposes, that's like going from being next to a food blender to being in an office. A side effect of adding the plumbing is reduced efficiency of the vacuum pressure and airflow. Devices are available to measure these parameters accurately, but they're not cheap, and I was more interested in relative loss, so I hacked together a couple instruments. First, vacuum. This is a simple DIY vacuum gauge that I made out of a simple loop of vinyl tubing, some water, and a ruler. I explained how I made this in this other video over here. The one end is open to the atmosphere and the other end is connected to our vacuum, and the difference in water levels tells us how much vacuum is being generated. As you can see, we're getting about 39 inches of water here. And I'll consider this 100% of baseline for what the vacuum is capable of generating for comparison in future measurements. Connected to the first port, it reads 31.5 inches. Connected to the second port, it reads 32 inches. Connected to the third port, it reads 31 inches. So the ports have a reading of about 31.5 inches of water on average, or a loss of about 20%. To measure airflow, I picked up an inexpensive anemometer off Amazon. Connected directly to the shop vac, this reads as an overload. The vacuum is advertised as 150 miles per hour, but I suspect, based on the noise of the anemometer, that it's not really that fast. For the purposes of this test, I'll estimate this to be about 110 miles per hour. Like before, this will be the 100% baseline for the other measurements. Connected to the first port, it reads 89 miles per hour. Connected to the second port, it reads 88.5 miles per hour. Connected to the third port, it reads 86 miles per hour. So on average, the ports read 87.8 miles per hour, or a loss of about 20%. While there's a loss of 20% in both vacuum and airflow, in practical application I don't really notice any difference. It still picks up about what I need it to, in about the same way. In summary, I'm really pleased with the new setup. It's much easier to work with, so I'm more diligent at keeping things cleaner. In conclusion, I'd love to hear in the comments below what you think about vacuums versus dust collectors as a means of keeping the shop clean. If this is your first time here at House of Hacks, welcome. We're glad you're here. We'd love to have you subscribed. Through these videos, I hope to inspire, educate, and inform makers in their creative endeavors. Usually, this involves various physical media like wood, metal, electronics, photographs, and other similar materials. Thanks for letting me encourage your creativity. So subscribe and I'll see you again in the next video. Now go make something. It doesn't have to be perfect, just have fun.